Today, we're joined by three of those projects: Grug from Grug's Lair, Anatoli from Force Prime, and Thomas from Z Corp to learn more about what they're building. Let's start this off with a round of introductions. Would you briefly introduce yourself, your background, and tell us a little about your game and what inspired its creation? Maybe let's start with Grug, who recently announced a pre-seed fundraise. Extra credit if you can tell us a little bit about that too.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Grug. I've been kind of like in the space, on-chain space and gaming space for a while. Started my crypto life as a trader. I was doing some degen trading on Binance, then moved on to managing an hedge fund, and now I kind of like moved full time into. I decided to turn the Grug's Lair as a gaming studio, and here I am, building games for now. And credits to deep thank to the participants into the seed race as well. That was a great achievement that we recently had in the layer. So that's my brief introduction.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the two games that you have in Propulsion?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, the Grug's Lair is focusing at the moment on building mini games on chain. Obviously, this is what we are focusing on. And the first two games that we are working on at the moment, they're called Rising Revenants and Blob Arena. Rising Revenant is a game where you basically have to compete against player to be the last man standing. So you can tell it's like basically a survival battle royale, where random events will happen during the game, and there will be few strategical decisions that you will have to do to basically be the last man standing. If you are the last man standing, you will get a fat jackpot made of lords. And obviously, throughout the game, you can trade your outposts, trade reinforcements, and do other actions that we will probably showcase during FCC in a couple of weeks. Instead, Blob Arena is a Pokemon-like battle game. We're currently working on it. We've got both of our games, by the way, they are live on testnet. They are both in alpha, sort of, and we are gonna introduce very soon the tournaments, which are gonna be a very competitive battle mode, which will integrate the Blobberts, which is the original collection, which inspired us from integrating the official squire from realms.world, which is the world that we're building our games on. And soon also Blob Arena is gonna introduce a lot of a collection, not just the Blobberts, but any other collection on-chain collection on Starknet as well. So stay tuned for anything.
Perfect. Thanks, Grug. Anatoli, going to push it on to you. Can you tell us a little bit about Force Prime and what your inspiration was in creating it?
Yeah, sure. So we, as a team, we spent almost 15 years in Web2 gaming and moved to Web3 5 years ago. So we are gaming maxis. And the reason why we picked Force Prime concept, it's a turn-based strategy. And it was inspired by the Heroes of Might and Magic series. And the reason why we picked this idea, because we wanted to have something turn-based because of the tech stack. And on the other hand, we are super bullish on the UGC content. So this concept has a super proven track record for the UGC content for more than 20 years. And also it supports a variety of experiences, starting from 5-minute casual ones to campaigns that you can play for many hours and days even. And that was one of the major reasons why we decided to go with this strategy, because we were super bullish on the UGC content.
Awesome. We'll touch on this a little bit later, but I do want to touch on a lot of your unique maps, and we can chat about it a little bit after, because you have such a unique environment that you've created with tons of unique different gameplays and elements associated with all these different maps that players can explore. but we'll get into that soon. Thomas, do you want to chat a little bit about Z Corp and some of the games that you're developing?
Sure. Well, actually, we were 4 developers for a lot of years working for companies developing their software, and we discovered like the ecosystem of Darknet, and we entered using Dojo a lot at its early ages, and basically we implemented a lot of little gaming experiences during all these game jams they organize. I think we did around 7 little gaming experiences during 1 year. And at the moment, we are focusing on 2 to 3 games. The first one is The Conqueror, which is an implementation fully on chain of the board game Risk. This game is developed in the Realms ecosystem. So basically, we just implemented the big map of the Realms, and it's a classic Risk game. The second one is The Clash, which is an auto battler, where you just need to build the best team possible to try to beat as much wave as possible. The fun thing about that is that you will be fighting against teams built by other players. And we have a little last game which entered in the team just a few days ago because the team won some prizes during the start hack from the ETH Global. And there is this little game which is called The Castle, which is a card game where it's a strategy card game where you are gonna build some buildings which are the cards, and your goal is to build an healthy village which will give you a lot of points at the end of the game. So it's a solo game basically, and that's the state where we are right now.
Nice. Yeah, I saw the tweet from ETH Global Twitter account on that. So congratulations. That's incredible news for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, appreciate your introductions. I want to pose a couple broader questions for you three before we jump into some specific questions on your project. First, why are you creating a blockchain game? What advantages does the blockchain actually bring? And what new possibilities does it open up? Maybe we can start with Anatoli first.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we're super game access, and game business is mostly about content and fun, and then marketing. And for this reason, we're thinking how we can bring the content to the next level, and we believe that like the best option for the content is natural selection, where we have a lot of creators building millions of different levels, and some of them are real gems. But to enable this, you really need a good base layer, and that's where we decided that blockchain is a perfect fit for this, because it's permissionless, it's trustless, and any creator can, from any place in the world, they can decide to build on your project, and it's permissionless. And also they can be sure that once they created something, it will last forever and no one can ban them or the platform. That was our major driver to the blockchain world.
Yeah. I mentioned this on the prior AMA, but no one can ban them or change things out of the blue is kind of the whole reason why Ethereum was created in the first place from Vitalik. So just associated with his World of Warcraft sword and damage nullification or something like that. So it's pretty interesting. But Thomas, Grug, feel free to add on to that as well.
Thomas, you want to go first? Then I'll
I can. I think at kind out about the ownership. Well, basically, I think that it's a really interesting concept that every player will own what he plays and what he's doing in game. I feel that, for example, influence is a good example of that, as we just started playing to that, and everything that you do will have an inner value and nobody can take it from you. I think this is something I believe strongly in. The second thing, like Anatoli was talking before, is the composability, where everybody can have some ideas on what you can add to your games or how you can implement some mod really easily and to interact really easily with your smart contract and stuff like that. And I would add a last point, which is maybe the community, because I feel like when you are in the Web3 community, you have this closure with your players, so it allows you to have really discussions every day with them, understand really what they want, what they found fun to play, and it's really exciting to have this kind of interaction as a developer.
I guess I'll go next if you're done, Thomas.
Yep.
Yeah, I think obviously like the points are slightly similar on my end. I think we're all kind of here because obviously we are very passionate of gaming in general, but we found some flaws in the let's say standard design of like gaming. And I think like blockchain gaming and especially on-chain gaming, it's good because it's provable, it's transparent and permissionless. Me personally, like I'm a big fan of economies, and also I think like the goal is to obviously like integrate economies into a game, which is obviously like a challenge itself, but with very new designs and yeah, just like elements which because of like the blockchain element we have not seen basically before. So this is like one of the main catalysts for me to join. And obviously like I've just like been in the space and really passionate, and since I was a kid I was just like my dream was to make like games, and nowadays like I've got a gaming studio. This is like basically a dream coming true. But yeah, so I think yeah, we're all here for the same reason. And speaking about like advantages and like possibilities, as I said, it makes all of us like, we're basically like all pioneers and trying to find solution to problems that obviously we kind of like found in previous let's call it like web 2 gaming. So I think that's why we're here.
Nice. I'm going to pick on you, Grug, because you were mentioning that we are sort of pioneers within this space, and Web3 gaming is still in its early stages. What do you think is needed to actually bring Web3 games to a broader audience beyond just the crypto community right now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think it's like the million or maybe like $1 billion question at the moment.
$1 billion valuation immediately.
Yeah, I think okay. Let's start from the scratch. I think obviously like we need to like find a common ground that is obviously like not too similar with the Web 2 experience, but that is also not the classic UX UI of Web 3, because obviously like that's quite daunting for new players. New players, they don't want to open up a game, simple as it is, very like complicated, and they don't want to like grow through like a 20-page PDF game manual, let's call it like that. To basically understand how a game works, and also even less, they don't want to sort of like moving one step and having to sign a transaction. Then that's obviously like one of the flaw. I don't know if you've seen the video of that guy that made like one transaction on the blockchain. That's a perfect meme. So obviously like we don't want that. But how do we really solve that problem? I think, for example, like now we're working in the Grug, and I think like the other guys are also working with Cartridge and with Paymaster to integrate Avno to integrate their Paymaster feature. I think like this solution that kind of like solve the barrier of having that Web3 experience and having like more like a kind of like streamlined experience, that you don't have to sign transactions, and then you don't need to have like a wallet, and you don't need to put funds into it, kind of like solve the barriers. But then obviously like those are perfect examples, and I think we will probably like need few iterations of these products and solution, and obviously like others will come with other ideas, but then eventually people will play games if they're fun, engaging, and I think like something important is at some point, like one of the reasons why I'm really excited to work with Realms and with other studios like Z Corp, for example, and there were like we got like a lot of like people working on Biblioteca DAO. Obviously, it's because I feel like the concept of autonomous worlds is also about not only creating content but also curating content. So you kind of like start from one thing and you sort of elaborate. For example, like we did with the blobbers, right? The blobbers are just like supposed to be just a meme, right? A square from realms.world, and now we're making games and sort of like expand on that. And I think it's what's really beautiful about this like permissionless economy of autonomous world and on-chain gaming.
Yeah, that's an awesome answer. I think that covers a lot, but Thomas, Anatoli, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I can maybe bounce a little. I completely agree about the beginning of your answer about like the simplification of the fact that we don't need a wallet, we don't need to provide funds to sign transactions and stuff. And to me, it's a lot about education actually, because even more in the gaming ecosystem, I feel like classic gamer even hate or love Web3. I feel like there is nothing in between. So I feel like what we need to do right now is to implement those Web3 games which are fun, just as you mentioned, Greg, and we need to make them play it even without noticing that it's a Web3 game. And if they play this game and maybe 1 or 2 weeks later we say, yeah, it was a Web3 game you were playing, and the guy was having fun all this time, maybe at this point we have something, I feel like. And I completely agree about this kind of ecosystem we are building, which is something completely new, and it's not exciting existing in my opinion in the classic gaming ecosystem.
So, yeah, I think just the concept of abstracting away some of the blockchain elements will bring people on board. I think we've been doing that. Grug was mentioning a few of these options that we've had within the Starknet ecosystem, especially as we can leverage native account abstraction. I think that is something that will hopefully onboard more and more people into Starknet specifically, but Web3 gaming in general as well. But, Grug, you were mentioning a 20-page PDF document. It kind of just reminded me, remember, like, it doesn't happen anymore with new games, but used to buy like a PlayStation 2 game or something, and it came with a big pamphlet of how to play the actual game. And I remember I used to play a ton of RuneScape growing up, way too much RuneScape growing up, which is part of the reason why probably I'm on this Web3 gaming call with you guys. But I remember spending tons of time learning how to upgrade my mining capabilities and talents and trading, spending hours reading the docs to get ahead. Maybe we need to improve some of the docs to make them more gamified with some of those things. But I think those are some really good answers to how we can actually bring more people beyond just the crypto community. I do want to talk a little bit more, and we'll touch on some of these answers a little bit further. But Anatoli, I want to talk a little bit about Force Prime, and we touched on this briefly. But Force Prime offers so many unique maps for players to explore. They all have these kind of specific objectives that reward players with seasonal points. Could you talk a little bit about this implementation and how you like the strategy in general, and how you've been able to keep the gameplay fresh and exciting for the players with these regular updates and new maps?
Yeah, sure. So we've started in building Force Prime in December and rolled out our first playtest tournament, I believe, in January, and just keep pushing new updates to the core gameplay loop every month, and that's how we actually keep it fresh. But because the tech was really raw, we started with a very straightforward PvP tournament where you just compete for the high scores. And it was a good start, but in reality, we see that players, they really want more PvE content because PvP takes a ton of time, and it's super stressful, and you cannot spend that much time on your game if you're not a pro player. So for this reason, right now every new season we're adding more and more PvE content, starting from bigger maps where you just need half an hour to clear the map, and now next season we'll release really quick maps with 3 to 5 minutes, super casual experience. To be honest, it's way easier to build a complex map than a good UX with a small map, because everything should be balanced extremely good.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a funny way of thinking about it. If you're making a small map, you have to be perfect in every little element associated with it too. Gonna go back to you, Grug. In addition to your recent fundraise, you also recently had your studio alignment proposal accepted by the Realms community. Can you explain what this means and why it's important for your games, Rising Revenant and Blob Arena, but as well as for some of the other games developing in the ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, myself, with the studio, and also Chillax Studios and others, we're all kind of contributing to build this autonomous world. The studio alignment was sort of designed for obviously aligning these gaming studios, and the reason why this was made is because obviously instead of having a centralized team, even though Bibliotheca DAO and Realm obviously is a DAO and is decentralized, but sometimes to sort of remove the cons of the slowness of the DAO, and also responsibilities and other stuff. It's better obviously to have some small centralized studios like we are ourselves building on top of it. So the studio alignment obviously is a deal where you get a certain amount of lords. Everyone can basically propose whatever they feel they're worth, and the deal obviously constitutes that if you are passed, then you have to build your games obviously within the Realms.World ecosystem, and the games have to be powered with lords. So obviously this is basically what we're doing. The way we're doing is that all of our games, they are gonna have a very small fee to join, or even some parts they will be completely freemium. For example, Rising Revenant will probably cost a couple of dollars for you to mint these revenants, which will allow you to have an outpost. And then if you want to buy some reinforcements, then you will have to pay few cents extra, and you will basically sort of participate into this lottery of surviving these random events that happen in the map. Instead, on Blob Arena, there is a mode that is completely free, even for people that they don't really have the NFT. They can come, they can play the arcade mode, and they can just have fun. They can battle. Sorry. And then there is gonna be tournaments, which then will have lords as rewards instead. So this is obviously I've been the first one. Sorry, I need some water.
It's a gigantic water bottle.
Yeah, it's a bit. I need to keep myself hydrated, So we've been the first one because Grug Slayer has been supporter of the Realms Bibliotheca DAO for a very long time, since the very inception. And we obviously not just myself, but everyone in the team has been a contributor in the DAO for a very long time, and I feel this was the right move to do for ourselves. And also This was part of a bigger alignment that obviously happened with my pre-seed, where the participants, which was led by PTC Crypto, they are like big believers in lords and realms and like on-chain gaming in general, and they felt like investing like some money in our company was the right move to also not only investing in ourselves but investing in the realms toward the ecosystem and overall in the on-chain gaming space. And then as other investors, I've got Starkware, which obviously like is they obviously like made Starknet, and you know it makes sense. That's also why I'm on this call today. And then Cartridge, which also like the engineers behind Dojo, which they are also like basically providing the tools for us to build on-chain game on Starknet at the moment. And then I've got like a really good friend of mine, which one of my best friends, which has also like took part into the round as an angel investor. So I think this was eventually gonna happen, and I hope studios like Z Corp or even like Force Prime or others, like one day they will decide to obviously like align with the realms ecosystem. Also because like this is obviously like the real alignment is going to really show its strength when more studios, not just like myself, will be sort of like taking part in release games, and you can see like a really thriving economy just by obviously like having all these games using the same currencies. And also what I'm really like, as I said, like the real big deal I think is like the composability, because now with my games, I can probably like take some characters from Chilax's games and putting them into my game, and vice versa. There is this like really how you say, like this ethos of sharing not only like this economy but also like share like assets and also like code, and because being like small teams, I think like time and resources, they're very valuable at this stage. So especially like with the Dojo community, most of the stuff, if not everything, is done like open source, and everyone is kind of contributing. We come up with a problem, we solve it, and then it's there for other people to find that solution in the future as well.
Nice.
I think I did answer your question, right?
No, you definitely did. I also feel like you're the happiest person that I've met in the past month. You're just vibing right now off of your
Yeah.
fundraise and your studio alignment proposal. So hats
I'm
off
always
to you.
vibing.
Super happy. I'm going to push it on to you, Thomas. Can you tell us a little bit about how you approach integrating some of these strategic elements into your games like Z-Clash and Z-Conqueror? They're fairly distinct formats. You were mentioning one's kind of like a reimagining of Risk, and the other one's an auto battler. Maybe you could also talk a little bit about why you think these game types are particularly well suited for Web3 games, especially as you were kind of mentioning earlier with that one-shot take with all those transactions on the wallets.
Yeah. Well, first of all, as I said at the beginning of the call, we feel like we were actually a really young studio. We are still a young studio, and what we wanted to do is implement all those little gaming experiences to put them out there and see if people are interested in playing it, actually. So this is why we are going maybe on a lot of different projects and stuff, because we want people to play it, to give some feedback and see which one is the more interesting. More specifically on the advantage of the blockchain on our games, the idea of the economic model inside of Risk. So Risk is a very convivial game, which is basically a lot about the community and playing with friends and stuff like that. So yeah, and even more in the Realms ecosystem. So the idea is that you are able to play some free game where you don't pay, you just pay the fees from the transactions and stuff. And a bit similar to Rising Revenant, for example, you can organize some paid tournament. So we have a lobby, and I'm gonna create the lobby. For example, you need to pay 100 lords to launch the game, and you can give the link to your friends, and they can join. And it's like a poker game, but playing Risk, you know. And yeah, that's the idea. So we feel like it's interesting to have it on the Web3 because it's completely fair, it's completely open, so there is no shit, no steal of money and stuff like that. About the Clash, it's a game which is a bit younger, but I feel like we have a lot of stuff we can do. And with the fact that you play against teams which were made by others, um, I feel like at some point we will need to add some life actually inside our soldiers and our units, and it can be really interesting to have them as NFTs maybe, which will win some levels while you play them, but if they die in the game, like maybe the NFT is destroyed or stuff like that. So this is maybe a lot of Web2 approach at the beginning, this kind of auto battler, but I feel that we can really open it to a lot of new usage and implement some really cool new stuff around it.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think kind of the experimentation aspect that you're going with is really interesting, and I think it's hit. People are super excited about what you are building. I mean, just on Twitter, I think one of your characters called me broke, called everyone on Twitter broke, and I think I called that out. But no, I
And
thought
this
that
is
was
funny
funny.
because it
Yeah,
came actually for a mistake.
really.
And it was not like written because we are French, so actually our English is not that good, you know. So actually there was this mistake in the screenshot, and everybody was saying, "Hey, don't stop calling me that."
No, I just thought it was funny. It's adding a little bit of character and life to the characters that you're creating. Well,
Yeah.
it's a scarecrow in this situation, so I would suggest leaving that in because good mistakes happen. But maybe we can kind of jump into some of the community aspects and how how you go about community building and approaching it for your project. I'll start off with you, Anatoli. You have a gaming tournament actually coming up at ECC. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you think it's a valuable tool for the Force Prime user base?
Yeah, sure. So we really love our community, and it's super supportive, and they're super active, and we discovered that we have completely different people in our community. So we have builders, we have players, we have designers, everyone, and that's super exciting. So at one day we decided that maybe it's a great idea to bring everyone to meet in person, and we did several calls with our top players, and if they are interested to join. And I was excited that everyone said yes, we really want to do this, and we decided that we'll go and just make this IRL tournament. Probably several a year, starting from ECC, where we'll bring all our top players, and also we'll have a tournament like open qualification tournament where anyone can qualify for the final table, and we'll have playoffs where everyone can meet each other in one room, play against each other IRL. But it's less about competitive part. It's more about meeting each other, making new friends and talking about the game, other games, and that's how we see it. And I wish that next time we'll have not only IRL tournament but even Force Prime community event and Players House. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm going to be at Brussels. Grug, you're going to be in Brussels too, right?
Yep.
And Thomas, how about you? Are you going to be in
Same.
Brussels? Yeah. We're going to have anyone listening here, there's going to be a lot of people from the StarkNet community, and then specifically there'll be a lot of people from the StarkNet gaming community. So come join us for some of our events. come join us for the Force Prime tournament. Meet some people here; it'll be fun. Continuing along with the community side. So, Grug, you were talking quite a bit about the studio alignment, and that's sort of community building within the Realms ecosystem.
Yeah.
Can we take it one step further and just understand how you're approaching it from maybe the Blob Arena perspective, especially with the NFT collection, Blobbert, and then maybe also with Rising Revenant and how it kind of relates to other projects within the Realms ecosystem and how you're going to bring them into your user base and player base for these games?
Yeah. So I'll start with Blob Arena first, and then I'm gonna move on to Rising Revenant. Okay, so with Blob Arena, so we the Grug Slayer, obviously we didn't create the Blobbert collection, but the DAO did. Someone in the DAO did, because obviously Blobbert was kind of this very sassy squire with this kind of it's actually quite fun. It's hard to describe, but anyway, it's sort of blobfish, very curious figure. So we were okay, let's make something fun, okay, something that actually people can also use the NFT, because I think it's all about making, if you create something, if we create content, then I think, especially because we're a gaming community, then may as well use the content into our games and we can put something to use. So we created this battle game, which is sort of gonna look like Pokemon in some ways, where we're gonna have tournaments. I was actually today, I was sort of designing this PvE roguelite system for blob, basically an endless stream of blobbers, kind of trying to kill you, which is hopefully it's going to be pretty funny. And then we will obviously sort of add a bit of flavor where these blobbers, they will sort of insult each other whilst they're fighting. So that's going to be hilarious, trust me. And we didn't want to limit the game to be just for blobbers, but eventually, and this is the power of permissionlessly and also composability, we want to attract different communities. So for example, we have another game that exists, is actually live, it went live a couple of days ago, I think it's on testnet at the moment, is Loot Survivor. So Loot Survivor has got an element which are the beasts. So whilst you fight throughout the game, you could eventually come up and fight against beasts, and then if you are the first one to fight the beast, then you actually get this NFT. So our idea is to create this also not having the blobbers, but creating some sort of Super Smash Bros, where you got a lot of different characters that they can fight against each other. So we created this it's actually being built at the moment. The engineer is next to me.
Show us the screen. I want to see the screen.
Yeah. So we're creating the game in a way that someone can come up and it's got this collection. So for example, the beast, or maybe we got another collection, the ducks, or in the future something else is gonna come up. You can just add it. Obviously, we will have to balance it a bit to begin with, but then we just envision something that blob versus ducks, blob versus beast versus beast, and so on. And we will probably have our own Grug on-chain collection as well. So we will have just this sort of different communities, hopefully all fighting against each other into the same game in a fun way. And this is something that we are kind of obviously we want to experiment with Blob Arena. On the other hand, Rising Revenant works in a slightly different way, because it's as I said, it's this sort of a survival battle royale game, and I'm obviously as a core, I'm a big gamer, and the idea with Rising Revenant is to take a bit of different approach and have seasons instead, where seasons will be themed to a particular element within Realms.world. So maybe we will have a season that will be about blobbers, or maybe about the underworld from the other gaming studio Underwear, or even again Loot Survivor. And the actual idea of having Rising Revenants, actually the Revenants are the dead survival from loot survival. So you will be able like to bring them back eventually and actually use them. They will have like stats and so on. And something that we're focusing as a priority is that we will be including the orders from loot. So we at some point, I think, like in the very not the very first season, but in probably like the second one, we will have orders fighting against each other and collaborating between themselves into basically overcoming the other orders. Yeah. So yeah, that's how we're trying to approach different communities all at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah. Anything Super Smash Brothers related, anything Risk related, I'm in. I think, Thomas, you were mentioning like fair play for Risk. Whenever I play Risk on the board, actual board game, there's no fair play. I just take over Australia and make a deal with someone, sort of like the geopolitics right there. But curious, Thomas, do you have any fun, interesting experiments that you want to try out on some of the community building aspects?
Yeah. Actually, we had a lot of luck by meeting the Biblioteca de AO, because these guys are really supportive. They are friends right now and stuff. So it's really easy to have this little community helping us already, which is not little, in fact. But we already have a base of player, more or less, and it helps us with our emergent experiences. But the idea is right now to begin to build a bigger community, which is a challenge, to be honest, as we are all technical guys. We need to prepare, but even with this part, we have some helps from the Realms community, and this is something really really cool to have people on your side even when you're little and you're beginning and stuff like that. This is what I would like to say about this community. Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. So we got 3 more minutes left. So we're going to try to close out right now, but to close, I'd love to hear actually what games you're playing on StarkNet, and feel free to let us know how the right general StarkNet community can just get more involved with your projects as well. Maybe we'll start with you, Anatoli.
Yeah, sure. Like the best way to join Force Prime is today. You can start playing today. It's super easy to start. Just press start button, nothing extra. And you have 1 week before ETH tournament, so you can play, train, and then try to qualify for the finals. And because that will be an extremely great fun experience. Or you can join as a spectator, just.
Cool.
Okay, I'll go next.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so for us as well, we're going to be at the EFCC. We've got some milestones. We're just like curating, like doing the last touches for our games, and we will have like tournaments live for Blobberts, and Rising Remnants hopefully is going to be live as well. If you guys want to test anything, because at the moment like the games are live but on testnet, come and either like you can find the links at the within like the Discord, like Grug Slayer Discord or the Realms Discord. There are like different channels, and if you I'm gonna say this like right now at the end, so if you join the tournament at FCC, you can get all of like this beer that we're gonna bring, which is like the Blob Arena beer. Okay, so we will land out like one. There's gonna be, so the tournament I think is gonna be limited to 128 people, and we will have just over 128 beers to give out to participate. Doesn't matter if you win, just participate and you will get a beer.
Greg actually bribed me to get into the propulsion program with one of those beers, so I'm expecting to get one of those in Brussels.
Yes, you will.
Thomas, I'll let you close it out before hopping back, and I'll just give a brief little concluding statement.
So yeah, at the moment 2 of our games are playable on testnet too. So the Conqueror is almost ready. We just have to remove some little bugs, but it's playable right now. It's the same for the Clash. You can just like Grug, find the link on our Twitter or on the Realms Discord. And yeah, we feel like the Conqueror is at the stage where it was almost finished. So if you have a little community, or if you want to organize a little tournament with friends or with your followers on Twitter or stuff like that, you can DM us, and we are going to try to organize it with you.
Perfect. Well, we're at time now, so thank you, Grug, Anatoli, Thomas, for joining us today. To the rest of our community, come join us for the third and final AMA on July 2nd at 1:20 p.m. UTC with Underwear Studios, Dope Wars, and Loot Survivor. That's it from us. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you,
and
guys.
Yeah, thank you.